welcome to today's video. We will be discussing use of the stir plate, the Ermile flask, and rehydrating dry yeast. I am between brewing batches right now. I'm waiting for one to finish up before I start another one. And the similarities in rehydrating brewer's yeast and baking yeast are there's not enough dissimilarities to make it where I can't use the baker's yeast as a good basis for doing the rehydration of yeast. It should be noted that you can make alcohol with baker's yeast and you can make bread with brewer's yeast. The problem is that with brewer's yeast in bread, you get very nasty tasting bread, and if you use baker's yeast to make alcohol, you get very nasty tasting alcohol. So with that being said, I'm going to point out this package here, yellow package, stand it up for you. This is brewery yeast. This is Red Star Premier Blanc. I am using it currently in my strawberry honey mead. And this package right here is just baker's yeast, dry active baker's yeast. And this is what we'll be using. Rule of thumb when rehydrating yeast is you rehydrate it in 10 times the weight in water in which is the package. For instance, this brewer's yeast is 11 grams of yeast. So you'd use 110 grams of water, or about 4 ounces. This here is double it. The baker's yeast is double the amount of yeast, so I'm going to use about a full cup of water. Okay, before we get started, there's some things I want to go over on our flask and the stir plate. First of all, we'll go over the Ermile flask. You do not have to use the flask. You can use a cup or a measuring cup or anything to rehydrate your yeast. I prefer the Ermile flask because of the neck and its large area of volume, which allows for a better spread on your yeast. You get more surface area and allows yeast to spread out and do what they need to do. And that's rehydrate, start multiplying. This flask is a 2,000 milliliter or 2-liter flask. I picked it up, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I picked it up at Northern Brewery. It's about $20. My stir plate is just a real simple, basic, scientific stir plate. Picked it up off Amazon for $16 and some change shipping. There are some do-it-yourself videos on YouTube to build your own stir plate. That's going to cost you between about $20 and $30. This stir plate is rated to stir up to 3 liters of water, or 3,000 milliliters. So it is ample for the flask that I have. I also have my bottle of my disinfectant sanitizing solution. Got the sprayer on it. I've got my scissors for cutting open my yeast package. And if we were using brewer's yeast, we would have a pre-measured, depending on the type of yeast and what the instructions call for, yeast energizer or yeast nutrient. But seeing as how we're using baking yeast for this video, I have simply sugar. This is about a teaspoon of sugar, a little bit more than a teaspoon of sugar. I have my 8 ounces of water, 1 cup. It is warm. I gotta let it cool off. It temperature reading on it is currently about 120 degrees. You use the hot water to make sure you cook off any contaminants or bacteria or anything maybe in the water. This is just simply tap water that's been heated. I have my bowl. Here's my stir bar. I've got it in my sanitizing solution, sanitizing. And we're about ready to go. So, first thing I want to do is I want to cool this water down. I want to cool it down to under 100 degrees. 85 is ideal. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go to freezer, get an ice cube, drop an ice cube in there, and see what that gives us. Take and drop our ice cube in. Stir it around. Use our thermometer to stir it around. Get it good and melted. This is going to give me a little bit more than a cup of water. When I measured it out, I went a little bit below. Yeah, we're dropping it down. It's about 100. Also stirring it will help cool it down. Down right at 100 degrees. Which is, we can put it in the oil flask right now, which we're going to do, because when we spin it to mix in our sugar, to get a good saturation of sugar, it's going to cool down. So, I'll remove this, take my water, and I always like to dump, even though I'm doing, for the purposes of this video, and I even like to do this regularly, so I like to dump this way. You get less mess. There we go. Set this out of the way. Dump my sugar in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce my stir bar. You don't want to just drop it in because it will shatter and bust through the bottom of your flask. So what you do is you put it here on the side and go and slide in. Okay, you notice that the stir bar is here at the edge. So what you want to do is you want to take it, you want to introduce it to the stir plate, and you want to adjust it because the magnets in the stir plate are going to catch it till it is about the center of your flask. Then we're going to turn this on, a little bit of juice, and there we go. We're starting to stir. What this is going to do is, it's going to cool the water down. I got a little bit too fast. It's going to throw the magnet, which is not a good thing. What this is going to do is going to thoroughly mix. Bring this in a little bit closer. It's going to thoroughly mix my sugar or my yeast nutrient into my water. It's also going to oxidize the water. It's going to bring lots of air, sucking the air and stuff in the wood to make for a better all around thing. I've done this several times, so I know about how long you let it go. My water's going to be at a good temperature. Stir. There we go. So we'll go ahead and we're going to turn our stir plate off. There we go. We've got good sugar saturation in the water. We've got good oxidation. Pull this back out again. Get it centered. And there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sanitizing solution and I'm going to spritz my scissors. Then I am going to spritz. I'm going to open this top of the. I'm going to open this top of the package. So I'm going to spritz my package. That way, if there's anything on the package that's picked up in storage, droppings or whatever, that they are going to be pretty much killed. I'm going to open my package. I'm going to be careful not to touch it with my hands. And I'm going to dump my yeast into my flask. There we go. I'm going to give it a good swirl so I get good surface tension. I'm going to readjust this. We're going to let this sit for 15 minutes. And then after 15 minutes, we're going to turn the stir plate on for a couple seconds to get an oxidation and mixture. And this is where the wide, flat Ermar flask comes in. My yeast is fairly even out. It's not clumping. I actually have a little bit of clumpage here, but we can take our flask and get it whooshed around real good. Find our magnet. There we go. Recentered. And what this is that yeast now is rehydrating. It's waking up. It's eating on the sugar water. It's multiplying. At 15 minutes, we'll go ahead and we'll hit it, spin everything together. Then we're going to take it out and we're going to introduce it to our bread dough. Or if we were doing a yeast for brewing, it's when we would introduce it to our must or a wort. Which when I start doing recipes and how to build recipes and how to put things together, you'll see in more detail. This is just a good starter video. And in 15 minutes we'll come back and we'll take a look at how the yeast has rehydrated and how to disable or secure your stir bar so you don't dump it off into your must or your wort or into your dough if you're doing bread. So I'll put this on so it can breathe and we'll call it good. Okay, it's been 15 minutes in real time, probably a few seconds if that long in video time. Now what we're going to do is our yeast is starting to grow and do yeast-like things. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this on for a little bit. And what this is going to do is mix our yeast, our now active yeast, into the water solution. It's going to get contact, real good contact. I'm going to turn this up a little bit more. Keep it in contact with the nutrients and the sugar in this case, and the water. It's going to get everything mixed together. It's going to bring a lot of oxygen into it, which is going to help yeast in the fermentation process. You see the yeast are pulling in that air. They're bubbling up real good. And what we're going to do, we're going to take and turn this off, and we're going to let it set for another 10 minutes. Then our yeast is going to be fully hydrated. Earlier in the video, I forgot to mention this part. It was an oversight. It's my fault. So we'll come back in 10 minutes after it's had time to oxidize and process everything, and then we'll neutralize the stir bar. And if we were going to pitch into a wort or a must, that's when we'd do it. But in this case, we're going to be pitching into bread dough. So Hope you enjoyed the video so far. I hope you enjoyed the supplies video, even though I misrepresented it a little bit by saying sanitation. But we will be doing a video on cleaning fairly soon. So, okay, it's been 10 more minutes real time. The yeast is all frothy, milky. It's got good color to it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to immobilize the stir bar so we can pitch it. I'm going to end the video after I immobilize the stir bar because I'm not pitching into wort or must. I'm pitching into dough. So, and basically all you need to do to immobilize the stir plate is a magnet like this. Just a simple magnet. You remove your container. I don't know if you can see this, but you bring your stir bar to the side. And that's all you do to immobilize it. Dropped it. Alright, that's all you have to do to immobilize it when you make your pitch. So, this is pretty much yeast hydration basics. When I do a recipe, an actual brewing recipe, a must or a wort or something, we'll go into it a little bit differently, but this is just the basics to give you an idea on how and what to do when you rehydrate yeast.